the moment dreams are made.
And the cards come up aces in a game for the Eagles.
Where the only thing that exists is excitement. The lasting memory. In a collection of moments.
Puts up a floater.
All coming together to create something incredible.
Shot might take it.
Not one, not two, but 5 overtimes.
FGCU!
Dog City, Florida Gulf Coast shocks the world. Wichita State going to the Final Four.
Coaches and players determined to leave their mark to forever echo in our minds.
Throw at the left of the floor. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer!
Goes back to Michael Jordan, jumper from out on the left. Good! The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship!
Lorenzo Charles slams it in. The Cinderella team has done it. The Wolfpack has won the national championship.
But for now, all that remains is anticipation of moments from a new season still unwritten.
Everybody together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, together.
The journey to March starts once again.
Well, the book has not yet been written, but this is page 1. They call it the Madhouse on the Hill. And we welcome you to Syracuse, New York, and the Carrier Dome, the largest on-campus basketball facility in the country. Here, Midnight Madness is Orange Madness at the Cuse. And we welcome you inside a raucous Carrier Dome on the campus of Syracuse University, alongside longtime head coach Tim Welsh. I'm Rich Hollenberg. You were a former assistant here under Jim Boeheim, but this is a new chapter in Syracuse basketball, entering the ACC for the very first time, and that's just one of the headlines for this season.
Well, Jim Boeheim doesn't reload. He just goes from the bottom and right back to the top again. They lose players and they just reload. Michael Carter-Williams, Trish, and Sutherland gone. But C.J. Fair's the key, along with Tyler Ennis, will be the starting point guard. Expect this team to make a run again in March.
We are going to see C.J. Fair. We will certainly see Tyler Ennis. You're going to see a dynamite scrimmage, and also stay tuned for the dunk contest. But before we get to all that, let's hand things off to the Carrier Dome public address announcer. Here's Mike Veely. Headsets are on, baby.
I couldn't hear you at all.
Not at all. Courtside at the Carrier Dome, standing right behind the signature on the Carrier Dome floor of Jim Boeheim, the second winningest head coach of all time in NCAA history, fresh off taking his team to his 4th Final Four. And you mentioned it at the top, Tim. They have not retooled. They have reloaded. They are in this phase right now, 3 years in a row, where Jim Boeheim has told us the same thing. He thinks they might have the deepest team that he's ever had, and he certainly thinks they might have one of the best defensive teams they've ever had.
A couple things you don't hear in upstate New York in the winter. That the weather's beautiful, and we're in a rebuilding year. It's never a rebuilding year here, because Jim Boeheim has recruited so well consistently from year after year, and I think in the last 5 years, maybe recruited better than ever.
And first up to be introduced to the nearly 20,000 Syracuse basketball fans, the newest fan favorite, and he has not yet even played his first game in an orange uniform, Tyler Ennis. A lot of expectations on this young freshman by way of St. Benedict's in New Jersey. from Canada.
You see him right there. A great body for a guard, long arms, very quick, gets in the lane, but also a polished player, experienced beyond his years. He played a lot of international basketball. The staff thinks he's very intelligent and ready to take over the reins.
Next up, another much heralded freshman. One young man who you'll be seeing a little bit later in the dunk contest. Number 2, B.J. Johnson, a 6'7", 185 freshman from a very familiar high school for Philly basketball fans. He went to Lower Merion, where Kobe Bryant went.
Well, the names changed, but the players look the same. Long, athletic, quick, can get up and down the floor, and also can play in that zone with those long arms. B.J. Johnson's going to be a guy that will fit into the rotation early and often. A nice shooter as well from the left side.
Yeah, Jim said in practice he could be the best shooter on the team right now. Now, one young man who will participate in this and also participate in practice, but will redshirt this year, Chinoso Aboko, or as they call him on the team, CO. He's a 6'10 center, and he's the 19th best rated center coming out of high school.
Be a young Bikeda. You know, they're going to develop him and let him redshirt this year. Certainly, they've got a lot of depth, not only at the center spot, but on the front line, and the future probably guy that will man the middle of the 2-3 zone.
Now, if you want to talk explosive, this is the young man you're going to want to watch for. Number 34, another freshman coming into Syracuse's fold. 6'2 guard out of Brewster Academy, the same school that produced C.J. Fair. This is Ron Patterson. You're going to see him in the dunk contest, and he is one of the most explosive players on this team.
Originally he committed to Indiana, but decided he wanted to play in the big house here, and Syracuse will play Indiana in the pre-conference schedule in the Big Ten ACC Challenge.
That's right. That game's coming up on December 3rd, part of a very tough non-conference schedule for Jim Boeheim. And speaking of Boeheim, he was telling me just the other day, with all the expectations heaped on Tyler Ennis, it's this Tyler that could end up making the biggest impact. Tyler Roberson, a 6'8 freshman, ranked number 31 in the top 100 coming out of high school.
Again, long, athletic, can play that back line of the 2-3 zone. A little raw offensively. If he gets some skill offensively and works on his game on the baseline, he probably will get some minutes at that forward spot.
A fan favorite. You hear the fans going crazy. Why? Because this is a local boy made good. Daewon Coleman, a 6'9 forward out of Jamesville DeWitt High School, which is right near the Syracuse campus. Had a little bit of an up and down freshman season, but expected big things from him this year.
Still has to learn to stay out of foul trouble offensively. Doesn't finish well yet, but he's much improved because he lost the weight.
Trevor Cooney, Red Autry, one of the assistant coaches, called him a superhero. He is in the best shape of his career, and they really need his three-point shooting this year.
They need his shooting. There's no question about it. And just overall savvy at the guard spot. Replacing Brandon Trish is a big thing to do for Jim Boeheim because Brandon was a stable, steady player for the last 4 years. Cooney has to fill those shoes.
Number 0, Michael Biniget, a redshirt sophomore, originally a Duke player, transferred, sat out last year. He's back this year, and they're expecting big things from him at the top of that 2-3 zone.
Well, top of the 2-3 zone. Also is another capable ball handler and to take some pressure off Cooney and Ennis at the top and maybe fill in as a little bit of a backup point guard role.
Well, when you talk about how deep the front line is for Jim Boeheim, consider this. Number 3, Jeremy Grant, who had a special freshman season, might be coming off the bench for Jim Boeheim this year. Talk about a secret weapon as the 6th man.
Well, you look at those stats on the bottom in the Canadian trip, and sometimes those can be skewed because you don't know about the competition, but overall he was their most consistent and best player on their trip to Canada in August.
And he is visibly bigger and stronger this year. And speaking of bigger and stronger, rock the bells. Rakeem Christmas, number 25, the only junior on Jim Boeheim's team this year, and he is smooth. He's got that Caribbean style from out of the Philly area. Last season led the team in blocks. They're expecting him to blossom on the offensive end a little bit more this year.
Well, the coaching staff here has done a tremendous job with player development, and this guy is really got to keep working on his offensive skill because at times struggles to finish, but he's an important player up front.
And when you have a team this deep, you need really good role players, really good complementary players, really good practice players to test the stars on this team. Albert Nassar is one of those, a 6'6 junior out of Stuart, Florida.
Yeah, you know, Jim's always given those guys a good chance and treats them as one of the guys on the club, so important in practice to develop the depth.
Well, there aren't many seniors on this roster, especially many seniors who are going to get significant playing time. First, let's meet a couple who also contribute in practice. Russ DeReamer, a 6'5" guard. This is going to be his final Midnight Madness.
Why not? Come out and enjoy the time, because they'll be getting their final 4 rings a little bit later tonight, and a lot of things are on the up and up here in Syracuse tonight.
And here is, as strange as this sounds, the ACC preseason Player of the Year, receiving the largest ovation from the crowd, CJ Fair. And I think it's so telling, Tim. If you check out CJ Fair's Twitter handle, it says transitioning from fitting in to standing out, and that's what they need him to do.
Well, they need him to do that. He has to be more aggressive on a nightly basis. He's very consistent, as we know, maybe not a more consistent player in America. Now he's got to really take it upon his shoulders to lead this team.
Number 4, Nolan Hart, another senior, 5'10", out of Albany, certainly given all the senior guards all their money, all they can handle, and look at him enjoying every minute of his last Midnight
Nolan's been
Madness.
here, I think, since Sherman Douglas was enrolled. He's been here forever, but he's fired up tonight.
And the final member of the Syracuse Orange to be introduced, a fan favorite, no doubt, the most vocal player on this team, number 12, Bai Musa Keita.
Really improved his physique. Up close and personal, you and I were looking at him yesterday in practice. I mean, just real good. Cat quick on defense in the middle of that 2-3 zone. Really the important piece of the 2-3 zone, because he has a lot. He covers a lot of space in the middle, which allows the wings and the guards to gamble a little bit more.
You know, CJ Fair, the preseason Player of the Year, I don't think there's any argument that you can make that can't have Bai Musa Keita listed in the top 3 of Defensive Player of the Year.
There's no question about it. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't come out in the stats, but he changes so many shots, and as we just said, he covers a lot of space.
Now we get to meet and greet the assistant coaches on the Syracuse Orange, and certainly one of the most popular players in Orange history, Jerry McNamara, his 3rd season as a Syracuse assistant coach, famous for being a member with Carmelo Anthony of the 2003 National Championship team. His wife just giving birth just 5 weeks ago to a beautiful baby daughter.
Jerry is a legend, and deservedly so, and not only on the court, but he is becoming one of the best coaches I've seen on the practice floor. He's got a great future in coaching.
Now, when I was here and I was coming to Syracuse Orange basketball games as a fan, this was the one player I couldn't wait to see. Red Autry's really transformed himself into a very hardworking and respected assistant coach.
Well, we talked about a lot of those young players that started as freshman point guards, but we didn't speak about that man, Andrew Autry. He was another guy like Tyler Ennis that was handed the ball as a freshman and became a point guard from his first day on campus. So Tyler Ennis will have good tutoring between Jerry McNamara, Adrian Autry, and of course Mike Hopkins.
And you mentioned Mike Hopkins, and here he is, the longtime assistant. Has been with this program since he came here in 1989. He is the head coach in waiting if he so chooses, and that program would be in great hands with Hop. He is the main reason why this team reloads every year.
Well, a lot of people thought he may be the front runner last year for the USC job, but it didn't happen. A lot of Syracuse fans are happy because the program will be in great hands someday when Jim leaves, but right now he's one of the best assistant coaches in the country.
And we're waiting for the final member of the coaching staff. As you all know, we haven't seen Jim Boeheim yet. We seem to have something of a power outage in the players' tunnel. This is Midnight Madness, but we call it Orange Madness in Central New York inside the Carrier Dome. And the fans are breathlessly awaiting their first sighting of their Hall of Fame head coach. And arriving in style. It's not a limousine. This is New York's college team. He arrives in a taxi cab. Coach Boeheim has a microphone in hand. Let's listen.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate all you turning out tonight. How about let's get ready for the ACC? We're just going to try to get down. We've been working hard. These guys have practiced for a couple of weeks, so you should expect a better scrimmage tonight than normal. We're going to go ahead and get warmed up here, and we're going to go full speed. I hope you enjoy what you see. Thanks for coming.
Please join us now in congratulating the 2012-13 men's basketball team as we celebrate their run to the Final Four. Tonight, we present the team with their Final Four rings and recognize those members from last year's team that are not present this evening. Michael Carter Williams, Griffin Hoffman, Noel Jones, Matt Lyde Kajusti, James Sutherland, and Brandon Trish. And now our current players receiving their Final Four ring tonight. Number 32, Dajuan Coleman. Number 10, Trevor Cooney. Number 3, Jeremy Grant. Number 25, Rakeem Christmas. Number 33, Albert Nasser. Number 23, Russ DeReamer. Number 5, C.J. Fair. Number 4, Nolan Hart. And number 12, by Musa Keita. And finally, after making his 4th trip to the Final Four as SU's head coach, with an NCAA tournament record of 52 wins and 29 losses, and assistant coach with the U.S. Olympic team, our own Hall of Fame coach, Jim Boeheim.
All right, lots of festivities still to come. That man will be joining us at our broadcast table when we come back from Orange Madness at the Cuse. Welcome back to Midnight Madness, but in Syracuse we call it Orange Madness. Now, we all know that Jim Boeheim is part of an exclusive club in coaching history. Second all-time in wins, but now he stands among the giants of the sport as one of only 4 head coaches to take a team to the Final Four in 4 consecutive decades. Dean Smith, Rick Pitino, Mike Krzyzewski, and now you can add this man, Jim Boeheim, to that list. Great to join us here on Orange Madness. Yet another year where we could celebrate with all our Syracuse fans, but this is a little bit different now because history is being made. We're entering the ACC.
Well, it is. It's a great year. It's something we've been looking forward to for a couple years. I think the fans have really embrace this move to the ACC. When you sell out a game the first day of ticket sales, which we've never done before, as we've sold out Duke and North Carolina's not far behind, I think that it's a testimony to how anxious everybody is to play in the ACC. We think it's a great conference. Certainly could be proved to be one of the great conferences ever.
Jim, it's clearly the Big East was a tremendous conference and one of the best, if not the best, the last 3 or 4 years with all the bids. But now you're moving into a new world. What type of new challenges does the ACC bring to your program?
Well, I think when you look at the ACC, and obviously you talk about Duke and Carolina, but all the teams in the ACC have great basketball tradition. North Carolina State, Virginia, they're all Final Four teams. And Maryland, national champion team not that long ago. Teams coming in from our league. Pittsburgh had the best record over the last 10 years in the Big East. I think they were first. We might have been second or third. So you're talking about a quality league with the addition of really, really quality teams from the Big East. And a lot of different styles that you have to get used to and adjust to. And they have to get used to and adjust to us as well. So it'll be interesting. It's great for us to have the veteran guys we have back in the front line, particularly who have had great experience in a great league and in the tournament and getting to the Final Four. So I think all that is something that is going to help us as we move into the ACC. But it's a tremendous challenge, and it really, it's just I think it's a great experience for all the players and the fans as we move forward.
Jim, you're certainly not prone to hyperbole, and yet you lost 3 key players from last year, and you were refreshingly honest the other day in practice saying you think this could be not only the deepest team you've had, but maybe as far as the front court goes, the best defensive front court that you've ever had.
Well, we were good defensively last year. We were one of the, if not the best defensive team in the country. We were one of the best, and we have those same guys back on the front line. And they're a year older, and I think they've worked hard. I think they're better. Obviously, we have losses to replace in the backcourt, tremendous players, but we have some really good backcourt players that as they get into the season and learn some things about the college basketball and particularly going into the ACC, they'll be fine. But front line wise, this is as physical and as strong a front line as we had and as much depth as we've had, and that's a good thing.
Now, you've been able to practice. This is a little bit strange. Usually this is the first night of practice, but You've been going for a while now. What do you see in your club that you like, and what do you see that you have to work on moving forward?
I like what we're doing. We're way ahead of schedule. Obviously, we had a trip this summer, and then the extra 15 days of practice, so we better be better tonight. Usually the tape of this scrimmage we don't even look at, but tonight there should be some good things to look at. I think that'll help us. Obviously, we're going to play mostly man-to-man tonight, and we won't see much of that this year. But I think again, there's a lot of positives to take out of these early practices, and I think it's really helped the younger players the most. And at this stage, everybody's kind of confident, optimistic. All coaches are at this stage, except for old coaches like me. We worry a little bit at this stage of the year, but I'm excited about what this group can be.
You mentioned younger players, and it seems like you're cornering the market on Tylers. You got a couple coming in this year, one coming in a couple of years that'll excite everybody. But let's talk for a second about your point guard, Tyler Ennis. You don't seem overly concerned that a freshman's going to be bearing the load of the point guard duties here at Syracuse. Why is that?
Well, we've done it in the past. We've had freshmen. We've had a couple really outstanding freshmen. We've had a couple sophomores who didn't play as freshmen who had great years their first year playing. And Tyler Ennis is a very smart player. He's more advanced, I think, more steadier than most freshmen. Obviously he's going to have learning curves to go through, just like every freshman player does. But he's ahead of the kind of ahead of the curve a little bit for a freshman.
Well, we appreciate you spending some time with us. I know you have some hardcore coaching to do in this scrimmage, so we'll let you get to it. 9:20 and counting. Jim Boeheim, great to be with you.
Thank you. Good to be with you guys. Thanks for coming.
All right. Well, we'll continue here on Orange Madness in Syracuse, New York. The fans are waiting to see some of the key players as they warm up. It's going to be an orange and white scrimmage. We'll mix the young players with the veteran players. We'll see some sophomores going against some seniors. Pick your brain for a second, because you know these teams as well as anybody, coming up here all the time like you do and coaching here like you did. Who are you most excited to see right now tonight on the floor?
Well, I'm really interested to see how the backcourt reacts, not to different situations. And clearly, as Jim pointed out, both teams are going to be playing a little man-to-man tonight, or mostly man-to-man, so that'll be different defensively. But his team will be rock solid defensively. I'm certain of that. I know that just watching them in practice yesterday, their length on the back line, their experience, their ability to cover a lot of space will make up for maybe what they don't have in size at the top that they had in the past. People don't have to remember, not only experience, but size at the top of the 2-3 zone is important. And Brandon Trish and Michael Carter-Williams are 6'4" and 6'6", respectively. And Ennis and Cooney are not as big as those two. So they'll probably have to pressure a little bit more and extend a little bit more out, because those guys won't be able to get into long passing lanes. But I think they'll be able to get up underneath guards a little bit better, especially Ennis is a pretty good on-ball defender. So, and clearly Ennis is the key guy, because he's going to run the club. And Jim's, over the years, the point guard, he gives him so much responsibility, and he's going to put a lot on his shoulders. But from what I hear and what I see and what I know about Tyler Ennis, he's going to be able to handle it. He's mature beyond his years.
And he's handling the orange team tonight, along with Trevor Cooney, Tyler Roberson, Rakeem Christmas, Dajuan Coleman, B.J. Johnson, and Russ DeReamer. So 3 key freshmen on the orange side. If you're looking at these new players for the first time and you can't wait to see them, the orange team is the one you want to look for. The other players are going to be playing for the white team, and obviously the key player on that white squad is going to be number 5, C.J. Fair. He's joined by Michael Biniget, the Duke transfer, Ron Patterson, who could jump out of the gym, Jeremy Grant, Baimu Sakeda, Chinoso Oboko, Nolan Hart, and Albert Nasser. It should be stated, we have absolutely no idea how they split up these two squads. I'm sure that fell onto the shoulders of one of the assistant coaches. But it should be a fun and entertaining scrimmage, as it always is here in Central New York at Orange Madness.
And as Jim pointed out, it's a different animal, different cat tonight, because we're beyond a few weeks of practice now, and Jim's going to expect more effort, more team play, more execution, a little bit more crispness on the offensive end of the floor, and a lot of energy on the defensive end of the floor as well. It's not just going to be a run up and down summer league game like it normally is on this night where they haven't practiced yet. So Jim's pretty serious about making sure that they play hard and play together and get something out of this scrimmage.
Close to 20,000 orange-clad Syracuse fans turning out in full force to welcome in the 2013-2014 season. It's going to be Raheem Christmas jumping up against the sophomore Jeremy Grant. The white team controls, and this is something we'll see a lot this season. Mike Binajay running the point.
Well, he's going to be the backup point for any time that Ennis needs to come out of a game, which Jim is hoping that's never, because he's already stated he's going to play about 38 minutes a game, but you never know. You know, different nights, foul trouble, different things happen. And he is a freshman, so he's going to have to learn how to play in different situations.
The left hand from number 2, B.J. Johnson. We'll see him in the slam dunk contest. He's got hops too. Stolen by Dawan Coleman, number 32. And here's Ennis controlling for the first time. Nice look. Easy two for Raheem Christmas.
Easy two. That's why Jim plays the 2-3 zone. I think these guys, not a lot of communication running back on the defensive end of the floor. They are finding men.
Patterson off the mark, fair. With that vintage left-hand putback, that's going to be his bread and butter this year. But he's improved his range as well.
He has, and the thing with a guy like C.J. Fair, who comes back for another year to polish his game, he's got to understand he's got to do his thing, improve different weaknesses, but also do what he does best, and that's play on the baseline.
Great look from number 10 in orange, Trevor Cooney. He feeds Dawan Coleman. And it's a 6-2 orange lead early on.
Coleman's feet look better. His body looks better. He's just got to finish around the rim in traffic.
Bai Musakeda usually makes his presence felt on the defensive end. He's off the mark on his first shot of the game. Johnson from the corner, no good. Here's Fair, top of the key for three. And if he can hit that shot consistently, he very well could be the ACC player of the year.
As long as he doesn't rely on it. He's got to just, if he has a balance to his game, he's going to be really tough. And that guy, he's got a little balance in his game tonight. He looks really good from the perimeter, Trevor Cooney.
And it's raining threes here at Syracuse. The third straight three in a row. That one from the Duke transfer, number 0 in white, Mike Binajay. B.J. Johnson makes it 4 threes in a row. Last year, the Orange shot it at a 44% clip from the field, but only 33% from three. Rebound Christmas. Number 11, Ennis, looking to push. Cooney, Trevor Cooney, number 10 in orange, misses that long-range jumper.
About Tyler Ennis that I like, and you can see right out of the get-go, is just a real nice pace to his game. Doesn't try to force, but finds angles, can create space off the bounce, good body control, and does not look like a freshman.
Yeah, he is smooth. The one thing that keeps coming to mind when I see him practice and play, effortless. He makes things look effortless and easy on the floor. We've got our first whistle of this scrimmage. And the coach, Jim Boeheim, off the bench. Here's number 11 in orange, Tyler Ennis. He'll be the starting point guard right from the jump. Coleman bodies up, in and out. Fellow sophomore, Jeremy Grant, number 3 in white. Grant gets it back. The follow slam by number 34 in white, Ron Patterson, doesn't go.
Just when you start talking about all the players, you forget about Jeremy Grant, because an X factor off the bench, can play both forward spots, has really improved his perimeter shooting as well.
C.J. Fair knocks down another jumper. I was commenting on his improved shooting. Coach Boeheim told us in practice yesterday he thinks the most improved part of his game was that he's able to put the ball on the floor a little bit more.
Well, I've said it before, and I really believe it's the Syracuse staff is as good as anybody, any staff, and there's a lot of good ones, but they're as good as anyone at player development. You go to their practice 45 minutes before practice starts. All the assistant coaches have players doing extra work in the gym, and no one leaves when Jim blows the whistle. They all stay after to keep working on their game.
Here's number 5 in white, the preseason ACC Player of the Year. Back for his senior season. He's got 7 points in the orange-white scrimmage.
Well, again, that's important, a move like that for C.J. Fair, because of the fact that you want to fall in love with the jump shot, even though it is improved. You still have to mix and match your game.
That was a pretty jumper off the curl from number 10 in orange, Trevor Cooney. Fair, a deep three. C.J. Fair in midseason form. I tell you, see a senior out there playing, it's like seeing Halley's Comet in this day and age of college basketball.
Well, it was interesting yesterday in practice, Rich. They were doing a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drill, and coming back 2-on-1, they took part of the drill, and everybody came back and stopped at the three-point line. And you're not going to make threes unless you take a lot of them in practice. And it's clearly 2-on-1s. You don't want to always take threes, but I thought it was an interesting drill, and a lot of the guys can knock down shots.
There's C.O., as they call him, Chinoso Oboko, the red shirt. Cooney with some hops. Trevor Cooney can fire from long distance, and he can also get up.
And the other thing I noticed about this group as a whole, very physically fit. They do a great job of training, conditioning in the offseason here, and everybody looks to have improved their body.
Number 34 in white, the freshman Ron Patterson, out of Broad Ripple, Indiana, by way of Brewster Academy, which is where C.J. Fair did some prep school work. Tyler Roberson, stuffed by the rim, but puts it back. And you talk about Tyler Ennis, everyone being high on him. Coach Boeheim's really high on number 21 in orange, Tyler Roberson.
He has a good reason to be. He's got to be able to finish those plays around the basket. He will. Most importantly, though, he's got to learn how to play that wing spot in the 2-3 zone, because he can be an important backup forward on the back line.
We've got under 2 minutes to go. You're watching Midnight Madness, which we like to refer to as Orange Madness when you're in central New York on the campus of Syracuse University. Inside the Carrier Dome, Dajuan Coleman, number 32 in orange, controls at the top of the key. Here's the freshman Tyler Ennis with his 4th point of this scrimmage. Number 11 in orange, you'll be hearing that name called a lot this season for Syracuse.
They lead 24-20.
Well, one writer at the ACC Media Day said I was the one guy who voted for Tyler Ennis for Rookie of the Year in the ACC. Of course, Jabari Parker was almost a unanimous choice from Duke. And Jim's response was, you're smart. So that's how much Jim likes him.
Cooney, fire away. He is a key X factor for this orange team. Had a little bit of a disappointing redshirt freshman year last year. He is in the best shape of his life, maybe the best shape on this whole team. And if he can knock down jumpers, that's going to really extend ACC defenses. There's Roberson with a dunk. He can get up.
Very nice feel for the game by Tyler Ennis, but also I like Trevor Cooney's ability to find that open slot. You know, you talk about he's in great shape, but I think he's playing with such confidence and also a better understanding of where to go on the floor to create his open space.
The freshman who won't see action this year, he's going to redshirt, number 35 in white, Chinoso Oboko, has 4 points. Very active defensive player as well. Number 32 in orange, Dajuan Coleman almost gets it to go off the window. Last shot time. Here's Fair. Shot wouldn't have counted anyway. And an entertaining, as promised, first half of ESPNU's Midnight Madness, Orange Madness. It's the orange 29 and the white team 22. Dajuan Coleman threw it down for orange, but C.J. Fair led the white team. Trevor Cooney showing that he could go inside and outside. We're back with the second half next. Welcome back to Orange Madness, part of ESPNU's coverage of Midnight Madness. We're inside the Carrier Dome on the campus of Syracuse University. We welcome you in alongside former Providence head coach and former assistant here at Syracuse, Tim Welsh. I'm Rich Hollenberg. We've seen 8 minutes of play from this brand new 2013-2014 version of the Syracuse Orange. What jumped out at you?
We haven't seen any 2-3 zone yet. What's going on here? The sun must be shining in Syracuse or something. No, Jim told us before that they're going to play man-to-man, but this is the key guy right here, C.J. Fair. Increased his shooting ability to knock down shots from the perimeter. Just has a wonderful pace to his game. Has to put the load on his back this year without his partners in crime from a year ago, especially Michael Carter Williams. guy who created a lot of points. He's got to be the guy who can go get 18 points a game for Jim Boeheim, and he looks very confident, and he can do it.
Led the team in scoring and rebounding last year, but certainly will be leaned on a lot this year as the one senior on this team who's going to get a lot of playing time. CJ Fair inbounds the ball to one of the new players on this Syracuse roster, sat out last year due to transfer rules. The Duke transfer, number 0 in white, Mike Binajay, who will play a lot of backup point guard for the Orange.
I knew we couldn't go all night without seeing the 2-3, and here it is on cue. But this is good because for Syracuse fans and for this team in general, they've been practicing for a while, as all teams, since the end of September. But at practice yesterday, really doing a lot of breakdown drills in the 2-3 zone. It's important because the back line, their experience, their length, they're going to be good at understanding the slides. But these guards are new together, and you have to play together in the 2-3 zone to be really effective. And Cooney and Ennis have to get a lot of reps playing at the top.
That was number 21, Tyler Roberson, a freshman for Jim Boeheim's club. Very high on him, was talking him up in practice just the other day. Heralded class of freshmen. They came in the 6th best incoming class, led by that young man, number 11 in orange, Tyler Ennis, with the ball in his hands, and he'll have the ball in his hands a lot this year.
Well, he's also a very willing passer, but can get to the rim and score. He's got a nice jumper to about 17 feet, has the ability to knock down threes, but he's going to run this club. I think he's going to run it well, too, because Jim is confident, and he's also mature beyond his years.
Here's Patterson, Ron Patterson, a freshman from Indiana, originally committed to IU, changed his mind. Now he's playing at SU, and they'll be playing the Hoosiers here in the Carrier Dome on December 3rd. Freshman B.J. Johnson off the mark.
B.J. Johnson's also another player that could swing out to the 2-guard spot and use that length at the top of the zone. And if you see Syracuse having problems defensively at some point during the season, especially at the top with bigger guards, you'll see Johnson swing out to that 2-guard spot to give him a little bit more length. But he's also a very good perimeter shooter.
I think one of the concerns from Syracuse fans, if not the coaching staff, is they had so much length at the top of their zone last year that led to so many gaudy numbers on the defensive end. How are they going to counter that, missing some of those key players from last year like Michael Carter-Williams?
Well, it's a very good point because Carter-Williams 6'6", Brandon Trish 6'4", and they covered a lot of space. They worked well together. Carter-Williams was very active in gambling with his hands, and he knew if he gambled that he had people in the back that could, cover up for him, especially that great front line. And I think Baikeda is so important for them. He's really good in the middle of the 2-3 zone. He covers a lot of space. He can come all the way out beyond the foul line. They're going to have to just play a solid pace, make sure they're active with their hands. They can't gamble as much when you're a little bit smaller, but I still think they're going to be effective because it's not like they're 5'9", 5'10". They've got decent size. They're just not as big as Carter-Williams and Trish.
That was Baikeda with the nice assist to number 3 in white, Jeremy Grant, for that dunk. Ennis penetrates. Trevor Cooney knocks down another jumper. He's the high scorer in this scrimmage, and I know it is just a scrimmage, Tim, but if this is an omen for things to come for Trevor Cooney, this is an Orange team that's going to be very dangerous offensively.
Well, he needs to step it up because that's what he is, the shooter. And a year ago, he could make anything, and sometimes that happens the first time you're out on the floor because you miss a couple shots and you start to feel a little tight, and you know that somebody's going to come in for you right away. Now, this year, he's going to have the luxury of being a starter. But also, even in practice last year, he missed a lot of shots. And now we went to practice yesterday, and he knocked down a lot of shots consistently, not only in their inter-squad scrimmage, but in the drills.
Number 2 in orange, B.J. Johnson, the freshman, knocks down a wing jumper. B.J. Johnson will be appearing in the dunk contest coming up, and he had a good trip to Canada. This team took a trip to Canada, played 4 games, some tough ones in there. He averaged nearly 10 points a game in that.
Well, he's got the length, he's got that lefty game, kind of like C.J. Fair, but he's got tremendous range and confidence for a freshman.
We're inside the Carrier Dome. This is Orange Madness in the second half of the annual Orange-White scrimmage. We have not been disappointed. Haven't seen too many Showtime dunks, but we've seen a lot of great outside shooting. And there's number 0 in white, Mike Binajay. Interesting how Mike Binajay goes from playing for the all-time winningest coach in history to now the second all-time winningest coach in history. I asked him what the difference is between Coach K and Coach Boeheim, and he said Coach K yells more, but it's scarier when Coach Boeheim yells because you think his head's going to explode.
He hasn't played in a game for Coach Boeheim yet. I think it could be equal once the clock goes on.
There's C.J. Fair, the senior, number 5 in white, the preseason ACC Player of the Year. Mentioned it earlier how invaluable it is to have his senior leadership on a young team. Johnson showing that he can shoot. Coach Boeheim telling us by the end of the year he could be the best shooter on this team.
He's not shy, I can tell you that. He's very confident. He's got that scoring mentality, and he's going to flourish in this system as a backup this year, but he's got a great future just as a guy that, you know, the way they play offense, run the ball, push up the floor, kind of allow their wings to slash with a lot of space from the baseline and from the three-point line out on the wing. Johnson will be very effective.
Cooney from Marshall Street. Trevor Cooney is on fire in the orange-white scrimmage.
That was from Utica, not Marshall Street.
Lemoyne. Nice little free throw line jump shot from Bai Musakeda. Ball's out of bounds. It'll go to the white team. White team trails by 10, mostly because of the marksmanship of number 10 in orange, Trevor Cooney. Two-time Player of the Year coming out of Delaware, redshirted a year. And there's Mike Binajay knocking down a dead-eye three.
Binajay's got a nice stroke from the outside. The important thing for him is to be able to come in and spell Ennis when he has to as the backup point and handle pressure. Now, that's the thing the coaching staff really has been working with him on as far as being able to, you know, make plays under duress when he has to play the backup point guard spot.
We talk about C.J. Fair being a senior who's returning almost like spotting Haley's Comet. Here's another oddity. A foul called in a scrimmage. And they're going to send B.J. Johnson, number 2 in orange, to the line.
Well, I spoke to Mick Cronin the other day, the coach of Cincinnati, and he said Jim Boeheim is smart beyond his years because they never foul playing the 2-3 zone. And now this year with the new rules, if you put a hand on anybody, basically on the perimeter, especially 2 hands on the dribbler, it's going to be a foul. But Syracuse, one of the keys to their defensive philosophy is they don't put people on the free throw line because, you know, they play with their length and not physical defense on the perimeter, but more with their quickness and athleticism.
We don't want to give away any trade secrets, certainly, with Syracuse fans watching, but what is the best way to beat a 2-3 zone?
Well, there's not one thing you have to do. You have to do a number of things well to beat this 2-3 zone in particular. And you know, the difference between Syracuse 2-3 zone and most is that their length. I mean, Jim recruits people to play this zone. I mean, 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" forwards in the back, bigger guards. Over the years, they've really developed some different schemes to it. I like what they're doing now. They have more breakdown drills. And the thing is, not many people play zone, so the first time you see it, you know, you almost freeze offensively, and it takes you out of your normal flow. So you can't just beat it one way. You've got to score in a lot of different spots on the floor.
And Trevor Cooney, speaking of spots on the floor, every spot is his spot tonight. C.J. Fair with 8 seconds left. And because Jim Boeheim's in charge, he wants 2 minutes added to the scrimmage. He gets 2 minutes added to the scrimmage. And for very good reason. Look who's checking in. A couple of practice players who don't see a lot of time are going to check in right now and should get a deservedly big hand from this Orange Faithful crowd. Number 4, Nolan Hart, a senior out of Albany. And number 33, Albert Nasser from Stuart, Florida, both checking in to be a part of this orange-white scrimmage.
Now, when your name's on the floor, you can do whatever you want. If you want to add minutes or fouls or points.
Here's number 4 in white, Nolan Hart. Aboko off the mark. Dajuan Coleman gets the rebound, number 32 in orange. Ball's out of bounds. We have a minute and a half left. It's going to be white ball. They trail 50-44. And maybe part of the reason they're trailing is that their number one scorer on the white team is joining us courtside right now. CJ Fair, the preseason All-American in the ACC, is joining us courtside as we continue to watch this orange scrimmage. And CJ, congratulations on being named the preseason ACC Player of the Year. Does that add any more pressure to coming back your senior season?
I don't think that added pressure, because that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come back, to get that type of award and get that acknowledgement, because I know what type of player I am.
Now, CJ, we called you CJ Fair, which I think is your name, but I thought it was Reggie Miller coming over. I saw this guy taking shots from, as Rich said, Marshall Street. You increased your scoring ability from the outside. What did you work on in the offseason?
I know I took a lot of time working on my overall game, but like I focus on my shooting range, shooting deep out, because I know I'm gonna get some new opportunities, and coach want me to shoot a little more threes and stuff to stretch the floor.
I know you're going to be playing a 2-3 zone. All the Syracuse fans who are watching right now across the country are wondering, what's the biggest difference in the team this year versus last year?
I mean, we got a freshman point guard. He's not like Michael Carter-Williams, a tall, long guard, but Tyler Ennis, I love playing with him. He got a smooth game, and he got a great feel for the game, and he's much more mature than a normal freshman. And then you got new and improved Jeremy Grant. He played phenomenal last year, and he's going to be a big key to our success this year. So I think those two players are going to be a big plus to us, especially. And then Rakeem Christmas, he's I think I've seen a lot of confidence in his game this year.
It's kind of strange. You played your first 3 years in the Big East. Now, in your senior year, you're going to a new conference, new teams, new challenges, new excitement. What are your thoughts on going to the ACC?
I'm excited. Like you said, we got new competition, new teams. I know the fans are excited to see the Duke and North Carolina match up. But I'm excited just to play new teams, see where we rank at.
One more question for you, CJ, and then we'll let you get back to your teammates. I found it interesting that on your Twitter handle you wrote, transitioning from fitting in to standing out. What's going to be the toughest challenge for you in making that transition?
Just being a leader of this team. Like my previous 3 years, I was the, not the main attraction. Like I fall under other people's wings, but now this time people fall under my wings, and I got to lead this team to the promised land.
All right. Well, we look forward to seeing you on that journey, CJ Fair. Thanks for joining us here at the broadcast booth.
All right. Thanks for having me.
All right. That's CJ Fair, preseason ACC Player of the Year in Syracuse's first year in the ACC. And when we come back, we'll hear from more key players on this Orange 2013-2014 squad. As a matter of fact, the young man who's running the show this year, the freshman Tyler Ennis, will join us right after this. We welcome you back to ESPNU's Midnight Madness. We call it Orange Madness here in Syracuse. We are on the campus of Syracuse University inside the Carrier Dome, and they have just completed the orange and white scrimmage. Entertaining, to say the least. A lot of long-range bombs dropping, and if that happens during the regular season, look out, rest of the ACC, because Syracuse is serving notice that they're going to be an ample three-point shooting team. Now, who's getting the ball to those three-point shooters is of no question. That's because Syracuse has a brand new freshman entering the fold who's going to start at point guard, and that is nothing new for Jim Boeheim. It started back in 1983 when the sensation that is Pearl Washington started as a newcomer. Jason Hart did the same thing and led that team to the finals. Jerry McNamara came along in 2002. A year later, he won a national championship, and most recently, Johnny Flynn pulled the trick in 2007, and that leads us to this young man joining us at the broadcast table, number 11, Tyler Ennis. Fresh from your first scrimmage as a Syracuse Orange. You were here for Orange Madness as a recruit, first time playing. What was it like?
Yeah, it was just amazing to get out here in the Dome and actually be on the court instead of watching in the stands. So, just get my first experience playing here out of the way and, get ready for the season.
We kind of dissed our guy, Red Autry, over there.
Yeah.
He was a starting point guard as well as a freshman.
Yeah.
So you have to tell him we didn't diss him totally. You have respect for him because you've got great coaches over there.
Yeah.
And how is that? Being coached every day by guys that played here at the point guard spot, Mike Hopkins, Red Autry, and Jerry McNamara.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for a freshman to come in and have guys that went through the same situation as him, and be able to learn from him. It's different than having somebody who's never been in that situation. So having GMAC and Red and Coach Hopper around me all the time is great for me and great for me to learn from them.
There's a lot of fans from Syracuse University watching from around the country right now on their televisions, on their computers. Most of them know that you came from Canada, from the Toronto area.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of them don't know that you were very close with Andrew Wiggins, who is the sensation going to Kansas right now. How did playing and coming up with a talent like Andrew help your game coming up?
Yeah, it made the game a lot easier for me. Being a point guard, and just like out there today, having athletes around you make it so much better and so much easier to look better as a point guard. So having Andrew and other guys around me so talented, it makes me look a lot better than other players.
The Canadian game has come a long way over the last 10 years. What do you think the reason is now over the last maybe even 5 years where Canada has stepped up to the point where they've got a tremendous talent coming into not only the college game but moving on to the NBA?
I think it's just everybody's starting to recognize the talent that we have in Canada, along with people just realizing that they could do it. Having Andrew as the #1 player and Anthony Bennett as the #1 pick, a lot of kids are realizing that it's possible to make it down here in the States.
Talk to Mike Hopkins, the assistant coach. He said, your game is so smooth. C.J. Fair even said that he thinks his game is smooth, but your game is even smoother than his game. How did you develop your game growing up?
As a kid, I wasn't always the most athletic, so I had to find ways to score and to be effective. And, as I grew into my body and started working out, my athleticism caught up. So I just tried to keep that mentality of thinking the game more than being athletic. And, I just kind of combined them both at this point.
Well, Tyler Ennis, congratulations on completing your first scrimmage in Orange Madness, and we look forward to seeing you all season long leading the team.
All right, thank you.
All right, number 11, Tyler Ennis, the starting point guard for the Syracuse Orange. He'll get back to his teammates. Coming up, we'll have the dunk contest, which I'm sure you're going to be holding up some 10 signs for. But when we take a break right now, we'll come back with more from Orange Madness. The slam dunk contest awaits. Don't go anywhere. The fans and the players are anxiously awaiting the next stop on Orange Madness, and that is the slam dunk contest. Number 2, B.J. Johnson, in the center of your screen, will be competing, along with number 0, Michael Vinajay, and number 34, Ron Patterson. Those are your 3 dunk contestants in tonight's Orange Madness.
For the highly anticipated dunk contests, we have 3 players tonight participating. Now each player is going to get 2 dunks, and the top 2 scorers will move on to the finals. And at that point, they'll get 1 dunk, and the best jam wins. Our contestants tonight, Michael Benajay, Ron Patterson, and B.J. Johnson.
All right, and we have our judges tonight. Who do we got, Brad?
Well, first, you might recognize him. He's all around campus. Give it up for Otto.
We also have former dunk contest contestant Brittany Sykes.
And our very own Remy. Give it up for her.
All right, boys, let's do it.
All right, let's get our first contestant out.
Well, they've interviewed and introduced the judges. It looks like Ron Patterson, number 34 in white, is going to tip off this dunk contest. And we have our own de facto judge joining us now, the assistant coach, Mike Hopkins, who I could state unequivocally for a fact has never dunked in his Syracuse basketball
That's not
career.
true.
No,
that's
I
not
saw
true.
That.
That's not true.
I remember a couple dunks.
A couple.
Thanks for joining us, Hop.
Thanks for having me.
We were saying how, this team doesn't retool anymore. You just reload. The last 3 years especially have been absolutely incredible, the kind of talent that you're bringing in year after year. How do you do it?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you have so much to sell. I mean, you see the Carrier Dome. You got one of the greatest coaches to ever coach any sport in collegiate athletics, and Coach Boeheim. And we play an exciting brand of basketball. And we've been in the best basketball conference in the country the last 5 years, and going into the best one this year. So a lot of kids, they come into this place and they kind of have the O factor. You look at this thing, you look at the dome, you see the fans. Seeing Carmelo doing well in the NBA, all those things play a factor. But you got the best coach in the land, you got the best arena, and the best fans, and that's the recipe.
Here's B.J. Johnson, number 2. He's someone you're really high on. Obviously, he's going to show everybody right now. He could shoot it, but he could also jump.
Yeah, he's part of that Philly connection. This kid can really fly. And you saw earlier, he could really shoot the basketball. He's been one of the best shooters in the preseason for us, and a great young talent. And that's, but he was a guy that wasn't really overly, he was under-recruited. Coach, you did that a lot of years. You got a lot of great players at Providence that didn't have a lot of hype. They ended up being pro players, and we feel that BJ has the potential.
Well, I remember specifically still living in Rhode Island when you got Michael Carter-Williams committed. And at the time, a lot of people in the New England area or basketball area, prep schools were all saying, well, he's not good enough. And I had not seen him play, but my only response to that was, well, if they took him as a sophomore, actually I think
going into his
junior year, he's good enough. They're not going to, if they have a question about it, they're going to wait.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you right now, I haven't seen him play, but he's good enough, and that turned out to be pretty true. So you guys have done a tremendous job, not only in finding these gems and being able to get the good players to come here, but I really believe that you guys do as good a job as anybody in player development, and you've seen that over the years where the young guys have developed their games. And talk a little bit about and what has made this group special, and what have they done to improve their game from last year to this year?
Well, I think the biggest thing is having the Mello Center. That place is phenomenal. These kids live in there. We're getting out of practice at 6. They're not leaving until 7:45 on their own, being in the weight room, getting treatment, coming in, getting shots. So the culture of getting better is there. And, these kids, after going to the Final Four, they want something bigger. They want that national championship, and that's what they've been working on.
Talk about bigger. Oh, my. Mike Benajay really trying to endear himself to his teammates. That's the second straight dunk where he's used a teammate.
Rich, I can do that. If I go out there, they pick me up, I can do that. I might tear my calf, but I can do it.
Oh, man, that was nice. Here's Rakeem Christmas. That's his second straight sick dunk, and he's a write-in candidate. He wasn't even supposed to compete.
It wasn't on the ballot.
I think Mike's probably thinking, I hope Rock does that during the game. Instead of a little fadeaway shot that he misses most of the time, he's got to go to the rim with authority.
We might have to call that the Caribbean funk.
No more fadeaways. Get to the rim and the free throw line.
Well, let's see what Benajay has in store, because his last 2 dunks have been stellar. He's measuring it out. Sometimes depth perception is an issue here in the Carrier Domes.
Oh, hey there, Michael.
That's your backup point guard throwing down. All right. Now it looks like Rakeem Christmas is recruiting one of the little Hopkins boys.
Go, Grant. Go. I think he's going to jump over him. Is there a doctor in the house?
Grant Hopkins, one of the assistants.
This is
here.
Trey Autry. This is Coach Autry.
Oh, that's Adrian.
We were coached by Coach Welsh.
Let's just hope that the university has a good health plan that your 2 sons are covered in case there's a problem out here tonight.
I got it in my wallet.
Clearly, Rakeem Christmas is not worried about his playing time this year if he's incorporating 2 of the coach's sons.
Oh, this is classic. This is absolutely classic. It's so much fun when you see the kids get involved.
That's what Mike's saying and Adrian's saying, but their mothers, I'm looking in their eyes.
And look at Red. Red's loving this.
They're a little nervous.
Red is loving this.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Here we go. Oh! At least he had Clarence, right?
Yeah, he made. See, Rock's such a nice kid that he made sure he didn't hit the kids.
Right. He did it.
Rock said,
he did it.
This is something neither of your dads could ever do.
Well, that's going to wrap up the Orange Madness Dunk Contest of 2013. the younger Autry and the younger Hopkins, clearly the better looking of the members of this family. But in all seriousness, Mike Hopkins, thanks so much for joining us.
Rich.
Pleasure
Great
hanging out with you.
Mike, thanks,
all right,
thanks
Coach.
for being
Mike Hopkins, assistant coach for the 2013-2014 Syracuse Orange. We're going to wrap things up here momentarily. We're going to take a short break and be back to put a bow, an orange bow, on Orange Madness as we officially start the 2013-2014 year. Well, as usual, it was a rousing way to welcome in the brand new college basketball season here on the campus of Syracuse University inside the Carrier Dome. Alongside Tim Welsh, I'm Rich Hollenberg. Smiles on our faces, smiles on all the fans' faces. Another fun night put on, another fun show put on by Jim Boeheim and company and the rest of the crew from Syracuse. So we watched the scrimmage, we saw the Slam Dunk Championship. That included or that aside, what are you most looking forward to from this Syracuse team this year?
Well, the great thing, I think, is that all these teams have worked out now for a few weeks, so they're farther ahead. So you're going to have a better product overall in college basketball, and the elite teams will come out of the gate ready. And this is an elite basketball team. No question about it. A lot of depth on the front line. They've got a go-to guy, C.J. Fair, who's ready to have a really a standout season, a breakout season as a leader across the country. And then the point guard. I really like the pace of his game. Tyler Ennis, a guy Jim's going to put the ball in his hands every night, all night long, and he can handle it. I think he's got the maturity, he's got the savvy, he's got the smarts, and he's got the toughness, because there's a lot of pressure on being a point guard at any school, but at this program here, you've really got a lot on your shoulders, but I think he'll be able to handle it.
An amazing note coming into this season. Jim Boeheim's entering his 38th year coaching Syracuse, and yet coming out of last year, this is the first time they've had back-to-back 30-win seasons. So the question every Syracuse fan wants to have answered, can they have another 30-win season this year?
I think they'll be disappointed if they're not right there at the end of March, fighting to go to the Final Four again. They have the depth. There's a lot of answers out there on the floor. I don't think there's any weakness on this club right now. They've got a couple question marks if they can knock down shots, but tonight they look like they can knock down shots. So Syracuse should be there. How they adjust to the ACC is always a question mark, but with that guy on the sidelines, there won't be much of an adjustment period. He'll figure it out very quickly.
Well, we figured out tonight that Orange Madness is one of our favorite events to cover. From the former assistant head coach here at Syracuse University, Tim Welch, I'm Rich Hollenberg. It's been a fun night at the Carrier Dome. The players presented with their Final Four rings. There were a lot of slams. There were a lot of threes. There was a good time had by all. Thanks for tuning in to ESPNU Midnight Madness, or as we call it in Syracuse, Orange Madness. Next up, 2 weeks from now, November 1st, the Orange tip-off against Holy Family, and the 2013 season begins.